All right, welcome everybody to CanJS Widgetry number 6. This time we are building a custom video player widgets so we can drive a video player, hit a stop and start. We'll see it in a second, but before we do, I want to introduce my Andy Richter to my Conan O'Brien. Mike, you want to say hello?
Howdy, y'all. I'm outside in Texas.
Nice. And I am tucked away indoors in Chicago. But as I already mentioned to Mike today, it is a nice cool day in Chicago instead of a painful cold day. So I'm in actually a really good mood. So let's get started building this widget, shall we? So to find this, if you want to go through this one yourself, which I suggest because it's a pretty fun one, if you go to canjs.com, you can click guides, and then under recipes, there's video player simple. The final widget looks like this. I'm gonna shrink my size down a little bit here. It allows you, it's a very simple widget. It allows you to play a YouTube video, pause it, you can see the time, or this isn't a YouTube video, sorry, this is an HTML5 video element, and then I can move the time around and it'll work. The other nice thing about this is it is integrated into, it is response to the changes of state of the video player itself. So if I were to show the controls for the video player and actually change the location, you can see and hit play and pause, my controls respond to that state change as well. So let's get started. To do this, I'm going to clone this JS bin here. I'm going to remember which one I've cloned. And this JS bin is really basic at this point. All it's doing is creating a HTML5 video element. And you can provide one or more source elements inside of a video element and point it at a video. In this case, this Tom and Jerry video. And I've got this controls on showing the native controls. So these are just the controls that Chrome will add if you've got controls here. So you don't have to implement your own, but we are going to implement our own to see how that works. So you can create your own custom controls. How are we looking so far, Mike?
Yeah, it looks good. You would do that so you can control the way the controls, I guess, look across different browsers so you don't get the defaults?
Sure. Yeah, that's absolutely one reason you might do that. Another is you're just a masochist and want to create everything yourself. I fall maybe more into that category.
Right.
But it's, yeah, if you want to control the custom look, maybe, you know, I've created other apps that have custom video controls, right? Oh, that's really loud. But like here, I need to be able to drive where this is when I click on a, let's see.
Oh, right, a shot or a point.
Yeah, a shot. Here's Kevin Phillips of CanJS fame. Get out of here, Westworld advertisement. He's about to shoot and make a one-pointer. That's nice.
Nice.
Now, Kevin had someone who looks almost identical to him on his team, hence the confusion. That is not Kevin. Kevin's actually this guy who just made it.
Wow.
Like exact same height, same hair.
Same color shirt, yeah.
Very confusing, yeah.
Your doppelganger shows up to the bitballs tournament.
Exactly. So who knows? Maybe you want to control the video element some other way.
Right, in a custom way. Got it.
Yeah. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do here is I'm going to set up the new hello world of CanJS 4.0, which is to create a component. And what I want, my goal here, so if someone wants the custom video control we're going to create, instead of putting video controls on the page, they're going to write video, we're going to create a custom video player element. And they're going to be able to pass the source as an attribute. So they're going to do source equals, and they're going to do with CanJS, you're going to do source from. I want to set the source on the view model here from the value here. And I'm going to copy that. Now this, if you just do this, if you know CanJS, isn't going to work, right? Because it's going to actually try to read the value here as like a key in the scope. So there's two ways you fix that. Yeah. Do you know the two ways?
I do not. I'm a 2.3 guy.
Yeah, you're 2.3. So one is you can put quotes inside.
Oh, okay.
But that's kind of gross.
That overrides and says this is a literal, don't try to resolve it.
Yeah, that's exactly.
Yep.
The other way is there's a raw that you can use. And that just takes the raw true value.
Yep, I had seen that before.
So, okay. So now I've got my video player element in the page. We're still seeing, I want to remove this video controls. I'm going to remove it in a second.
Yep.
Instead, I'm gonna start with the hello world, which is basically to create the can component with video player as its tag. And now there's actually a video player being created, a video player component being instantiated. It's just not doing anything because we needed to give it a view. For now, I can just do like hello.
Okay.
See the hello.
Yep.
What I really want is this video to show up inside there.
Is that auto mounting going on? Is that why you don't have to do like a var?
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Okay.
Auto mounting is seeing that the page and taking care of it automatically. Okay, so now we are, we've just essentially, whenever video player is found, it's just going to dump in this video, which is why it's showing up over here.
Right.
But we want it to actually be reusing the source value, whatever someone passed in, so that someone could change and kind of point it at a different video. Here, I can just use the source value that someone passed in.
Oh, cool.
Now, CanJS, normally you want to, it's good practice to define these properties on your view model. So I'm going to create a view model and say I have a source property, and that's a string. There, we've effectively set up our hello world
with videos.
With videos, so that we can put any kind of link to any WebM video here, and it would create. Essentially, we're not doing much that the video element doesn't do by itself right now.
Right.
But we're going to start adding custom controls in a second. So that's the and for some reason, let's say you loved Tom and Jerry.
Which you should.
Which you should. You could give it a default. So here I'm taking my type of string, but maybe I want a default value that is this Tom and Jerry video. So if they had that, this. Now it's still not, if you don't put in a video, okay, we will default the source to this Tom and Jerry video, so it still shows up anyways.
Yeah, and default, did that come in 4.x?
Yeah, it used to be value still works here, but now the preferred way is saying default.
Right.
Because value has additional fun things it can do as well. In 4.0.
Right.
So, okay. Now, one thing I would probably do if I was making this for real is show some kind of like, whoops, you forgot video.
Right, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
But for now, we can just keep using Tom and Jerry. Okay, so the next thing that we need to do is we're going to make a play pause button that changes when I hit this play button here.
Cool.
So for that, I'm gonna create a little div where all of these controls are gonna go. I'm gonna add a button. So we can see, hey, there's a button. I'm gonna have a button, and it's just gonna say play right now.
If you were doing like modlet pattern stuff, I know this is just a demo, so you've got it all up at one time. Would this view stuff be in like your demo page? So you could do some kind of rough development with a demo page first to get these things working? Or do you not?
I might put this in the demo page.
Okay.
But I wouldn't put this because this is the
right.
actual...
That's the stash. Yeah.
Yeah.
Or the
yeah.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good question. Okay, so what I really want is this play button. So this is the way I think a lot of times about applications is I think I start a lot of times with the view because then I'll design the view model to work. But I want the view to be very, very, very readable and kind of elegant in how it looks. So what I would do is I'm just going to have I want to be able to swap it from play to pause, what this button says.
Right.
So what I might just do is something like, if the plane is true, I want to write pause because we're playing, so the button should be pause. Otherwise, I want to write play.
Right. So the default is play, but if it's playing, then pause.
Yeah, which is a little confusing, but it's what you want the button to say. The button should say pause if you are playing, because that's what you will do when you hit the button. So that means I'm going to need a plane property on this view model.
And you could also put that logic in the view model too. It wouldn't have to be in the view. Like if you had a prop that was like called player pause, and the JavaScript was doing the logic of deciding whether it returns the word player pause, then your view would just have that property name in there.
Yeah, though I would probably keep it in the view because who knows, maybe you want to do translations or something like that. And I don't know.
Oh, okay. I see.
It's more view related, the value here. But yeah, it could absolutely go in the view model if it's more complex than that.
Right. Sorry, carry on.
No. Keep these. You're doing a great job, Andy. So what we need now is somehow we need plane to change when I hit play or pause here.
Right.
Okay, so somehow I need to listen to when the video is play or paused and change the state of plane from true to false. So one thing I can do is I'm going to add some methods here. I'm going to add a play method that's going to set plane to true, and a pause method is going to set plane to false.
Got it.
Somehow I just need this video to call these methods when I hit play or pause here.
Right.
Fortunately, HTML5 video has play events and pause events. You can actually listen with CanJS on play. So this is the play event emitted by the video element. When that happens, I just want to call play. And on pause, I'll call pause.
Cool.
So now, notice how the state changes. So the next thing that we need to do is make it so that we can actually click this and it changes the video. Now this is a little tricky and this is one of those places where a lot of frameworks, I would say, struggle a bit, is how to do this video player has its own state, but we want to kind of combine that state with the state of our view model. Now, there's a whole bunch of different ways one could do this in CanJS. Like, I'm kind of going what I think is the most easy way to understand. There's a whole, now that we have the value helper that kind of acts like a streams, you could consolidate state all within this video element. But we're going to have, what we really want is the source of truth is actually the view model. Meaning, right. I want to just, if I hit play here, if I hit this play button, I want to just change the state of the view model. And as a side effect, the view model, when its state changes, will update the video player. Right?
Got it.
every part of the world of CanJS should just focus on changing this plane property, and then somewhere else we're wiring that the state change of the video element as kind of a side effect. So let's see how to do that. The first thing is, well, we need it so when we click this button, we're just going to call it toggle play method. That's going to change the plane state. So this can just be like this dot plane is equal to not this dot plane.
Right.
Now with that, well, we're changing the state, and that's why it's saying player pause. This plane is changing, but it's not actually doing anything.
Right.
We need, as a side effect of plane, it to update the video. So how you do that in CanJS 4 is your view models have a connected callback. And this can be used as a great place to do side effects because it gets a reference to the element. This gets reference to the video player element.
Does it have other references?
It has, this is the view model.
Okay.
So it really has everything you need. Now in here, what I can do is listen to when plane changes and update the element as a side effect. So I can do this.listen to. I can say, I want to listen to when plane changes and call this function back. This is going to call back to the event, and then if we're playing. And here I can just kind of do my side effectual stuff that I would want to do with the video element. So I'm going to actually get the video element with query selector. So I'm going from the video player element to the video element.
Oh, right, the video itself.
Yep, the video element itself. And then I'm just going to check, like, if I'm playing, some more space down here. If I'm playing, then I want to play, I can call this play method on the HTML5 video element. And otherwise, I want to call pause.
Got it.
So now the nice thing is when we click this button, all it's doing is changing the state. And then it's something else's job, mainly this connected callback, its job to do the kind of side effect of updating the video element.
Right.
But then the video element is able, changes in that are able to drive the state changes. So that's why it's kind of connected both ways.
Right. So if you had in your app another way to affect playing or pausing, you don't have to worry about the wiring. You just change the Boolean, and
exactly.
it takes care of the side effect.
Now, I do think there's even another way that Kevin had that I forgot now. Another way that we can do this kind of stuff, but I forgot. There's like a million different ways in CanJS you can do it. This is a good, simple way that is very flexible and can accomplish almost everything. So that's why I'm showing this way.
Cool.
Okay, so the next thing I want to do is show those the where we've been, like the current time we've played to and how much total time there is. What you need to know about this first is that you can't, well, I'll get to it in a second. What we're going to want is on our view model, a duration of the video, which is going to be a number, and a current time of the video, which is also a number.
Right.
And these are going to represent where we've played to. Now,
and just for the kids at home, when you don't put like object brackets, that just knows to default to type when you do that current time number.
Yes, if it's a string here, it just knows that it's type. Yes.
Got it.
Make a type number. Okay, so somehow we need to get duration and current time from the video element. Video elements have two important methods that are going to be useful here. One is that when you first reload the page, the video element is there, but it doesn't have the data for the video. It doesn't actually know how long it is until what's called a loaded metadata event is fired.
Okay.
That's when we actually know how long the video is. So I need to listen to that. Metadata. And then on loaded metadata, I'm going to make a update times method. That's going to be past the video element.
Got it. Loaded metadata is HTML5 video stuff.
Yes.
Got it.
Yeah, whenever the video, the date, not every single frame for the data, but the video's metadata has been loaded, it'll call this update times with the video element.
Got it.
So now we need a update times that's going to get a video element. And it's just going to update the current time and duration. So this current time is going to be video element at current time, or 0, because it could be null if we haven't started actually playing the video yet.
Right.
Or it could be, and then we're going to get the duration. Duration. So now we know our times, and I'm gonna put these in the page right now as a span. Put current time followed by duration. This is a span like that, and then we have a slash, and then we have another span. Okay. So this isn't super, these numbers aren't super useful, so we're going to want to format these in a second. But before we do that, I want to make it so when we actually hit play that the current time is going to change. So video elements also can tell you as their time is changing, and that is done with a time update event handler. So on time update, this is an event produced every time the video changes its kind of position.
That's whether you're scrubbing, dragging on it, or it's just playing, right?
Exactly. Anytime what's shown here is a different time.
Yep.
So I'm going to just call that update times again method, which will read the same, current time, and it'll reset duration, but who really cares?
Yeah.
Because I don't want to write a lot of extra code.
Yeah.
So now we can see that the time down here is updating with how many seconds we've moved.
Nice.
Okay, so the final thing is we want to make this formatted nicely. We could create stash helpers or things like that, but I'm going to do what I think is just in some ways the easiest way of dealing with it, which is I'm just going to stick in a helper function I've already stick a helper function in the view model. Why isn't this indenting it? Because I don't want to type all of this out.
Right. You need a comma at the bottom of it too.
Thank you. This format time, it just takes some number and it's going to format it so that it shows 0, 22 or 20, you're at 20 minutes, 20 seconds. And then I can just...
It's time in seconds, right?
Yeah, it's just giving time in seconds. So I can just give format time. I can just wrap the calling of current time with a call to format time. And then now our timer will look a little bit nicer.
Nice. Would the helper call still have the space between it, or in 4 does it? Can you do you call helpers the same way you call functions like that? Like, like format times space.
We want people to call it like this. It'll still work if you do space, but we're pushing people towards call expressions.
Call expressions, that's the name of it.
In 4.0. So like you call it just like you would a normal JavaScript function.
Right.
And the reason is because in 4.0, functions, like if you had format time as a function down there, in 3.0, if you just did something like this, it would call the function automatically. And whatever the function returned, it would put that in the page. Now, if it sees a function there, it just treats that as like a function and doesn't do anything with it unless you're calling it.
Right, unless you explicitly call it.
Now, helper functions, and even this, it's like it's getting it wrong for some reason. There's something else it's doing here. It's going to call. It's going to call with a compute here. Because that's what happens if this is an observable, those get passed as computes.
Okay.
That confuses people, right, with helper functions, and that's why like it's giving all the nans. That's why we're pushing people towards this, because they're
it's way more explicit.
Way more explicit and simple and easy to understand.
Yep.
Okay, so hooray! Now the next thing I want to do is kind of add a slider like this. And we're going to make it so that the slider moves as the video is being played. So we're going to actually use the range helper. I'll put a range helper in there right now. So there's input type range. I don't know if people have seen that before, but it exists, and it looks like this. It's like a little slider you can use. It's built into some browsers for you. Now, what we're going to want is that 0. We're going to kind of use this as like a percentage slider. So 0 it'll be 0 and it'll be 1 all the way to the right.
Okay.
Does that make sense? It's like percentage complete. We're not going to make it so go 0 to 20.11 or whatever that was. We're just going to make it so it kind of moves from 0. On the left, it represents 0, and on the right, it represents 1. To do that with a range, you give it a, we're going to give it an initial value of 0, and we're going to give it a max of 1, and a step size, because you can give it step sizes. It works with decimals. Step size, you can see it kind of ratchets.
Oh, right, yeah.
Ratchets. I've been hanging out with a 2-year-old and learning their speech patterns too much. We're going to give it any. So that means it's as smooth as it can possibly be. Any value that you can kind of move your mouse to.
Is that a default step size, or?
No, it's not.
You have to put it in there. Okay.
I think it is not. If I remember, it's 1 is the default step size. You have to put it in there if you
want the smoothness.
You want the smoothness, exactly. Okay, so what we need to do then is create a value that goes from 0 to 1 based on the based on where we've played the video to, based on the current time. So this is where good old getters come into being. Here I can have a percent complete. It's the getter that I want to derive from the duration in the current time. It's basically give me that percentage between 0 and 1.
Right.
So this will just return this dot duration, or this dot current time divided by the duration.
Is that 4.0 shorthand, that get percent
complete? 3.0 shorthand.
3. Okay.
This is a 3. Yeah. So now we have percentage complete, which we have our value. Now we just need to update the range, input range, when percentage complete changes. And in CanJS, you're going to use the binding syntax. So I want to get the value from percent complete. I want the value of this input to come from percentage complete.
Cool.
Now as I hit play, it changes.
So smooth.
So nice. The other thing to see is, if I do this, it changes. It only changes after, which is fine for right now.
Yeah.
Like, we're fine for this example. Because there's not, like, it's when the current time is changing right as this time update changes.
Right.
So there's like a tiny bit of a delay as like it actually shows that frame, then the time update.
Well, plus you're going to hide those controls, so.
Yeah, exactly.
You won't see the double scrub.
Yeah. So the next thing we want to do is make it so you can drag this around now.
Yeah, the reverse.
The reverse. And the way I want to do this is make it so when this changes, when the value changes, I just want to write back to %complete. And I want to write back to %complete as a value between 0 and 1 and have %complete, the setting of %complete, update the current time.
Ah, okay.
So I'm going to make a setter for %complete. This is going to get called with the new value of %complete, what I want it to be. And I'm just going to set the current time to essentially the new value times the duration. Right? Because if it's 50%, if
right.
we've set it to 0.5, then we want to be the current time 0.5 of the duration, or half of.
Correct.
So instead of now one-way binding from %complete into the input, we want a two-way bind. We want the value to also be able to set %complete. We use the value bind. That's a two-way binding between the value and the %complete value. Now, we'll still see that this doesn't actually update. Now, it's moving, and you can see the time is changing.
Yep. But the video's not.
The video's not, because we're not doing as a side effect when our current time is changing, we're not updating the video's current time.
Right.
And that's the final step that we need to do. And this is going to look pretty much identical to this, so I'm just going to copy it. We're going to listen to when current time changes, get that current time, and on the video element, we're going to set its current time. As a side effect. So now I'm dragging around, and you can see
nice.
It works. And that is it.
Connected callback, you can just have a list of listeners. It's not like an object where you need commas between things or anything.
No, it's that you're kind of thinking like it's in some ways a replacement for the events object on components.
Right, that's why, yeah.
The nice thing about it though is you can it's a little bit, if you wanted to unit test your components, it's a little bit easier, or the component view models. It's a little bit easier to mock up. Like you could actually pass it an element. You could mock this up a little bit easier, pass it a component with like either an element that's you've just kind of rendered the view yourself, or you've got an element with a query selector that's just going to return something with a player pause methods on it. Yep. And then you can call connected callback with an element and then see that it's like actually setting or calling these methods correctly. It's a little bit more unit testable than the elements.
The events.
Yeah.
Object,
yeah, exactly. With the events object of components. Like I could set plain, or I could call pause, and I could possibly see that the video player pause was called as a side effect.
Right.
It's still a tricky thing to test, but it's a slightly less tricky.
That's slightly less. I'll take it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it.
Very cool. Oh, are you going to hide the other controls and make it look?
Yeah, that was the last step. I forgot to do that. So now we say goodbye to these controls that are created by Chrome and Google. We've probably spent a lot of money just on like these design, and instead the thing that I'm just using native I just built that. It's just native elements without any style. But
right.
It works. We built it ourselves.
Very cool.
Cool. Thank you for joining me.
Sure.
And for everybody who watched this, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe. And if you have ideas for the next widget that we should make, please put them in the comments below. And until